Hello, starting today with Saturn through houses, and I'm going to just do this generic video. The first one will be all about what is Saturn really all about. So Saturn is one of the most important planets in Vedic astrology, in the sense that it deals at our karma. So wherever Saturn is, it's basically where we're paying our karma to the world in our natal chart. Obviously, do always bear in mind that despite the fact that you're born with a certain placements, but actually every dashas are planetary periods which are very unique to Vedic astrology. Your chart changes, even though the underlying thing is your D1 or your natal chart, but really is on top of it during those years that that particular planet is ruling your life. You're doing more, you can read your chart from there, so this could change according to that. But this, obviously we know that the natal chart is literally the flavor of what we are. But I'm sure we all see that we definitely change every year when we are younger, and every decade or so we change dramatically as well as we work through our karmas. And some karmas, we work through and basically it's done, so it doesn't mean that we're going to be repeating those issues again and again. This is one of the most important things as well to know, is that for Saturn is very strong in the 7th house, because it's planet of community, other people, marriage, commitment. Therefore, if you have a difficult issues, difficult Saturn in your chart, it's really good to work on. I mean, if you have got a strong Venus, then that's fine. And also, if you've got strong Jupiter, that's very good too. But Venus and Saturn, really, they rule all the most important houses in the chart, which is 2nd house and 7th house of Venus, and 10th and 11th house of the natural zodiac are ruled by Saturn. So Saturn for us is the planet, we always look at it from Aries ascendant. It rules 10th house of career, karma and status, and 11th house, which is house of gains, and house of elder sibling. So it's a wealth and work. For Venus is 2nd house of family, savings, values, self-love, and 7th house of relationships and working with the others. So when they get together, this is how relationships are built, basically, because if you've got a good Venus and good Saturn, you really work at it. And so if you're finding that in your chart, your Saturn is very strong and it holds you back, or it's very weak, when it's very weak, like a debilitated Saturn, it's really, particularly in the 1st or 7th house, it can be quite difficult, because the person only ever sees the lack. They can give up on things before even start it. Therefore, it's quite good to work on Saturn. Saturn is literally hard work, putting your back into it and getting results. And the moment you do it with Saturn never ever denies you anything, but it wants you to deliver, and it wants you to be consistent and persistent. So let's go through some of the things to do with Saturn. Saturn is monotony. It's routine. Responsibility is our duty, commitment, fear, worry, seriousness, actually having lack, feeling the lack for anything. Maturity, reliability is humanitarian. It's unhappiness, discipline. It likes fairness, really, in everything. Wherever it sits in our chart, that part of our life, we're always very hard on ourselves. And it's rules it's dry and it's stressful. It rules kind of laws of the land. Sometimes even the unspoken laws will be to do with Saturn. It's like planet of humbleness and integrity, really. It's rules and regulations. It's respected, respect and respecting others, basically. It's always seeing what is not done. So you could have a list, and person who's got a good Venus, they think, okay, I had 10 things on my list. I did 2. Excellent. I now deserve a cup of tea. And they go and treat themselves, and there's no guilt attached. Well, it's very different for Saturn. Saturn is always guilt-driven. So therefore, it's like, even if they did 2 jobs and they were massively busy and there were big jobs to do in a day, they is still hard on themselves that they didn't do the other 8. So their view of life is very much like glass half empty. But they are loyal, hardworking. As I said, they love a routine. They like everything to be just so. Steadfast. They that term, talk the talk, walk the walk. They probably even don't even talk, but they certainly walk the walk, because they're not really having Saturn on your first house. It kind of limits everything. It can, wherever it's sitting, it kind of contracts that. It also rules elderly people, sick or disabled people. It's longevity. It's also death, delays, isolation, community, and above everything else is service. So these are all the indications of Saturn. So what we do now, we'll go through and do it through the houses. Saturn is friendly with Venus, very good friends with Venus, and also with Mercury. And it also does pretty well with Ketu, but it's definitely not friendly with the Sun or the Moon, or even Mars, although Mars is neutral with Saturn. And Rahu as well. Rahu, Saturn are not good together either. So this is how you can see. So you can see that Saturn is going to do really well in own sign, rules Capricorn, and rules Motricona sign, which is like the head office sign. It's very strong. Is in the 11th house of the natural zodiac, which is house of kind of groups, networks, likes to be with other people and actually contributing to everything. And it's exalted in Libra and debilitated in Mars. Exalted in the sign of other people, marriage, committing, working with other people, and diplomacy. But sign of Aries, which is all about me, myself, and I, is not happy there, because obviously it's a sign of me being singular, and also sign of Mars, which is an enemy to it considers Mars as an enemy. And so we just want to kind of like, this is one of those things that when you have a weak Saturn in your chart, you really it's very hard to get a grip of life, and things for people will be seriously delayed, and people, like mothers and fathers, could start worrying about the child because they just feel as though they are not really grasping things in life and solidifying anything. And also it can make the child very worryful as well. So I find that when Saturn is in your first house, in your 7th house, it's your Atmakarka, or is sitting with your ascendant lord, the child, everything for the child will be delayed. They'll be more stressed than normal. They'll be very dutiful. They always worry. They have this fear. So as a mother, it's very important to just like have compassion for them, because these children are real humanitarian. If they are really looked after and nurtured, so they can actually there's that trust thing going on, then you do well and they do well too. And so don't literally, be aware that they are not sometimes, it could be that, I'm not saying this every person, it depends on the chart, but don't they feel the pain of anything, because obviously they feel as though if they didn't do very well in a test, or you know, they didn't do a job to the way their parents wanted to, they carry this terrible guilt, and they feel as though they let you and the family down, so they already suffer with a lot of guilt anyway. So it's really good when we are kind of, even with, if you have a partner who has like, or you know, children, siblings, friends and everything else, we just got to realize, you know, that's where they're coming from. It's really, really important. So anyway, let's talk about the Saturn through signs, through houses. Thank you. Saturn has special aspects. It's obviously where it's sitting. It always, like all other planet aspects, 7 houses away. It also has special aspects, which is 3rd house and 10 houses away. The house that it's actually 3 houses away, but you always count so if it was in the 1st house, so you count 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So 3rd house will be where you'll be putting the effort in. So 3rd house is away from where it's sitting, and then 10 houses away from it, which is where you're paying karma to the world for from Saturn's viewpoint. So it's not necessarily for some people who've got like Saturn in the 5th house, is, 10 houses from that is not going to be necessarily your work one, but nonetheless though, it's something that you're paying karma on the world too. Okay, let's make a start on this. Saturn in the 7th house. This is an angle, so it's obviously important placement. This house is also house of work. You can see your career from this, not just your marriage and partnership. So this is like house of 10th houses from 10th house. So it's very important in terms of looking at this house for how your work and career is too. And also this is where Saturn gets directional strength, or Dikbala. In that case means that it has much more focus, it's much more committed. And it's also in the natural zodiac. This will be Libra, because we use Aries ascendant, and this is where Saturn is obviously exalted. However, this is completely the opposite for Libra ascendant, because their 7th house is where Saturn will be debilitated. So a debilitated Saturn is going to obviously function very differently. I'm going to give you all the indications for 7th house, and then we go through the aspects and everything. So this is obviously house of marriage, partners, partnerships, legal contracts, any form of business. This is literally house of commerce, interaction with others, legal partnerships, commerce, trading, marketplace, courts, justice, balance, your public image, how people see you, export and import, because it's an interaction. It's obviously also a house of it's commitment to somebody else, and obviously Saturn is all about doing the right thing, boundaries, responsibility, and this is also a house of deals and agreements, etc. So it just means that there is a commitment there, and they're not shy of that. So basically, when you have this Saturn in the 7th house, you know that this is going to impact your 1st house. Your 7th house obviously is sitting in. It's going to aspect the 9th house, and also by the 10th aspect in the 4th house. So you get a general idea that this is going to give you some flavor, not just about you, who you choose to be with and how you are at work, but also how your parents are too. So these people, Saturn is blue-collared people. It's all of us. It's all the people who make the world, the wheels of the world turn. So this is obviously means that there is a community-minded person. You, your partner, and also your parents really are very aware of the responsibility to the whole thing, to their community. So this person is going to be, unless obviously Saturn is has got difficult aspects, or it has it's in difficult signs. It's it's going to be this person can commit. It's all, it knows their boundaries. It's mature. It's serious. So not only are you like that, but you also attract somebody like that. So you're likely, because Saturn also delays everything. So marriage, partnerships, relationships generally are delayed, as is like work things as well. The recognition that they definitely deserve at work will come later. And it will come when they're ready, really, because Saturn, it just takes longer to go through everything. You know, it's not like Mars. It's not like impatient. It means patience. So if you deal, whenever it comes to Saturn, if you deal with it, the house that it's sitting in, and its aspect, if it's quite good to have that realization that things will be longer term. They take longer to come to fruition, but they will last too, because that's a legacy of Saturn. And obviously what happens is when you get married, you have a ring. So that's the boundary of Saturn. That's the ring around Saturn. Boundaries firmly in place. When these people commit, they're serious about it. They want to be in that relationship. So this is why it's really important not to rush into marriage. You know, this is Saturn is telling you to wait, because this likelihood is that you're not, because obviously Saturn also makes one, by aspect in the first house, makes one really be aware of self a bit later, you know, 32, 36. So an early marriage, which it can give, can possibly not work very well, and because the person doesn't know themselves, you know, there's that kind of delay on self-awareness. So therefore, when you're not self-aware, you make mistakes in, you know, you could be going into a relationship without realizing, okay, it was just maybe just an attraction, which was like speed of the light, came and went, you know, and now I have to deal with this relationship. So it does you good to wait. But generally speaking, though, this is very. These people are very okay with dealing with the hardships of life at work. You know, commitments. They understand commitment. They understand like there is a responsibility. So your partner, you're going to attract somebody who is responsible, who is aware, and every action that they have is not necessarily self-centered like Mars will be, you know, and they have, with time, you know, because they're likely to stay in their job for a long time too, especially if their 10th house is a Saturnian's house as well. So they stay in their job for a long time. They just have that awareness that they want to. They're not going to rush into anything, and they really start shining later on in their job, and they get so much respect. They're like the backbone of the business, really, in a sense. And they go into this marriage and the relationship more because of the duty, because Saturn understands duty. They're dutiful towards their parents, because the third aspect is the ninth house. So there's a duty towards their dad. They put an effort into their dad, the elders of the family, and they respect like the laws of the land, and they sorry about the noise, and they also have this respect for generally teachers, education system, religious temples, and that kind of thing. But it can also be that there is an issue with the higher education too, because at the end of the day, despite the fact that it is kind of like this is where they put their effort into their education, higher education, their dad, etc., it's still a malefic, you know, depending on the sign and everything, there can be issues. It's obviously an aspect in yourself, and it's funny because obviously it just means that the person that you're with, your spouse, and you know, it can be quite serious, quite mature, and also it can also it rules sick people as well. So there could be a certain, like there could be like a one leg of the partner is slightly shorter than the other. That kind of thing can be the theme too, but. Both of you will be very committed to your homeland. You know, because from there is also aspecting by the 10th aspect, which is a karmic thing. They have this duty and responsibility. They feel that responsibility towards doing the right thing for their homeland. That is if Saturn is in a good position. And yeah, so there is also, there's the other thing is with Saturn is accepting of the reality of life. You know, that's how it is. So and you know that when Saturn is in the 7th house and in good condition, the person is self-sacrificing, is happy to see the longer term rather than the shorter term thing. You know, in the short term it's going to hurt me because I'm going to just like give up more on my time, more on my energy and effort, but in the long run I know it's going to be good for, say, for my spouse, for my work, for the country, for my parents and mums, stuff like that. So but obviously you got to realize that if Saturn is in not good, is unfriendly sign or debilitated, these people just like are shy of commitment. They just like they say all these things, but they can't fulfill it because there's a bit of laziness. I mean, actually, as a rule, Saturn is lazy. And so when it's debilitated, they see the obstacles before they see like the bigger picture. They can't see the big picture. It's just like, oh, I can't do that. You know, I can't go to work every day. Just the whole system of having to get up and deliver every day for them is just too much. So yeah, at work, obviously, they're going to be relied upon quite a lot. And so the 10th aspect shows the nature of the home environment that they were brought up in and their mother, the nurture and nourishment that they receive. So you know that there is a coldness there because it's almost like having Saturn aspect in Cancer, really. Yeah, so you know that there is that level of, there is some form of coldness going on there. And they are... the mother could be like strict mom, home environment quite strict, quite cold. It's more dutiful, you know, like get you to work, do this and all this. It's not necessarily an emotional mother that's going to, or dad who's going to be like, oh, you know, you're not very well, you know, let's like, why don't you take a day off school and just I'll look after you and you can rest and everything. They're just like, there's some tissues, there's a tablet, go to school, you know, that kind of thing. Or, you know, they could be pouring down with rain and you're going to school, walking miles, and they're getting in the car to go to work, but they don't actually think about giving you a lift to school. So this is the situation with this, you know, so there is that coldness. So yeah, so it's obviously aspects, 1st house, 9th house and 4th house. So let's have a look at the ascendants now. Right, let's do the ascendants. So for Aries ascendant, this is going to be Saturn exalted in Libra. And obviously this is going to be excellent. It's like 10th and 11th house ruler in the 7th house. So it does create wonderful Dhan and Raj Yoga because it's 10th house ruler aspect in the 1st, 11th house ruler aspect in the 1st. So it's really nice in that sense. And from there, obviously, Saturn is going to be aspect in the 9th house, which is going to be Sagittarius. So you know that they want to be with somebody with similar belief system or education background as themselves, and their father could be quite a religious person. From there, also obviously aspect in the 1st house. This is going to create, although it creates lovely Raj Yoga and everything, it's also going to create some issues as well because this is arch enemy. Well, not quite as bad as the Sun, but it's going to be Saturn aspect in the 1st house. And Aries, excuse me, Aries just want to do everything fast without thinking, impulsive. They're really passionate. And there we are, planet of halt, stop, slow down, and patience is aspecting. So it's quite frustrating to begin with. And it will take a while for the native, Aries natives to actually get used to this. However, with time things get better. So, but yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. But from there also, Saturn is going to be aspecting Cancer. So you can see that the mother, this is going to be a little bit difficult because obviously any aspect of Saturn on Cancer, particularly when it's fourth house, is quite difficult. So it shows that there is going to be some sort of coldness. Home environment at the early age could have been quite difficult. Maybe even early education was a little bit hard, and maybe that kind of comfort that mother gives wasn't necessarily that available, and as such, they've had to be more the mother. And the home environment, generally speaking, is much more practical. You got to do this, got to do the practical stuff rather than the more emotional sort of nurture that Cancer can give. But generally, it's good for money and success. And also, this is an exalted Saturn, so that's pretty good when it's aspecting the first house particularly. So it's lovely. And for Taurus ascendant, this is like your Yoga Karaka planet ruling the 9th and the 10th house. Now it's sitting in 7th house. The 7th house, though, it's Scorpio, so it's not a friendly sign to Saturn. So you know that there's going to be a level of secret about their partner. So for these people, it's really good to take their time choosing the right partner and not rush into things, because obviously this is again house of like, it's fast and you get into relationships quickly, and that can create issues. But the amazing thing is with these people, obviously the very first thing is 9th house ruler is in the 7th house. So this creates a wonderful Raj Yoga, and it's also 9th house ruler aspect in the 1st house and 10th house ruler aspect in the 1st house. So it's multiple wonderful things going on there. And you know that for Taurus ascendants, Mars, the ruler of their 7th house, is actually exalted in the 9th house. So for Taurus ascendants, it's always good to be with somebody who has A, take your time, and B, be with somebody who shares the same views, belief system, religion, or even education background to yourself. You do really well, somebody who's well traveled, well seasoned, if you like, and they do really well with that. So you can see that's encouraging you to do that, to be with, taking your time and making the right thing, because it makes a real success of things. Higher education also for them will be really good, because obviously Saturn from there is aspecting by third aspect, protecting the 9th house of higher education, travel, etc. And it shows that the father is somebody highly respectful and high achiever too. So it's just quite nice. It protects Capricorn, the 9th house. From there also, it's obviously aspecting the 1st house. It's Yoga Karaka planet aspecting the 1st house. It's going to be amazing. So you know that these people will find success. They're hardworking. And thoughtful about just everything to do with homeland, everything like that. And shows that the mother also aspects of 10th aspects the 4th house, Leo. So the mother is somebody who is very. The mother is also quite respected too, and they have the respect of the community in a sense. But obviously, again, it's aspect of Saturn on the 4th house. It just means that everything is very practical. They have to do the right thing rather than nurturing and cuddles and emotionally cold, but practically very rich in that sense. For Gemini ascendant, this is Saturn in the 7th house, which is Sagittarius. So the partner is from the same belief system, educated, and also this is going to be for them the 9th and 8th house ruler in the 7th house. So it does create a nice Raj Yoga and nice Dan Yoga. And the rule in the 8th house is not really going to make that much difference, but you can see that there can be some issues in terms of like education can be just breakages in education, or there can be like relationship with dad could just break at some point suddenly, but nonetheless though, they could also marriage could suddenly get them some gain, some luck also. And from there, Saturn is aspect in the ninth house, which is Aquarius, and it rules Aquarius, so therefore it protects everything to do with that. So there's a lot of respect to the to their religion, to their father, to the gurus, and things like that. Aspects by 10th aspects the 4th house, which is Virgo. So again, shows that the family are very service oriented. Mother is of service oriented and does the right thing for the community. But again, it can be a critical mum, a little bit cold. Then we're going to do Cancer ascendant for them. Saturn rules 7th and 8th house. And when it's in the 7th house, it's going to be Saturn in own sign in Capricorn, nice and strong. This is they're looking for somebody who is very successful, career-minded, high-status person. And you can see that person is also going to be, for you and the person, highly respected at work and within the community too. So this will be also 7th house ruler aspect in the 1st house. Nice Raj Yoga. Aspect of Saturn on the 1st house Cancer is going to be a little bit, the person worries a lot, it's a little bit anxiety there because Saturn is such a cold planet, aspect in such a soft sign, which is ruled by, moon. And also obviously from there is going to be aspect in the 9th house, which is Pisces. So they could, for higher education, they could go abroad. They could be also, at times they're more likely to be more spiritual than religious, really, that kind of thing. And from there is also aspecting by the 10th aspect will be aspecting where Saturn is exalted, which is Libra. So that the mother is somebody successful, respected, and somebody who interacts quite well, quite fair mother, that kind of thing. And there is a love to do the right thing for their community, homeland, mum, and all of that. They're quite dutiful towards them, and that seeing other people working together and all of that makes them very happy. For Leo ascendant, Saturn in the 7th house, again this is nice and strong because Saturn will be in own sign. They're attracted to people who somebody from their own group of friends, and some people that are really kind of quite humanitarian people, quite like to do the work with other people is very key to them. And from there, obviously, it's aspect in the 1st house, which is Leo. So that you yourself and your partner are very hardworking and high achieving. Aspects, then the 9th house is going to be where Saturn is debilitated, so that education will be a little bit higher, education will be difficult, or maybe that the father could be absent, or the father could be possibly that there's some issues there with father, and maybe they've had some issues, that kind of thing. But generally speaking, there is some issues with the 9th house where, Saturn, as much as they need to put more effort into it. So maybe they're trying to communicate more with the dad, trying to put more effort into their religion, belief system, that kind of thing. But their belief systems can change because of that. There is that questioning thing going on. And obviously from there, the 10th aspect will be on 4th house, which is Scorpio. So there could be something about the mum that's a little bit secret about the family. And again, there is this is the natural 8th house of the zodiac, the Scorpio. So there's definitely some, the mother could be slightly, have some health issues, and just always, whenever you are going out in your car, make sure your car is always well serviced, and be aware of that kind of thing. Then we have, For Virgo ascendant, Saturn in the 7th house will be Saturn in Pisces. This is 5th and 6th house ruler in the 7th house. So it obviously creates a Raj Yoga, but that's spoiled because it also rules, Saturn rules the 6th house. So this could be somebody who obviously in their job, they could be a teacher, students teach with students, or some form of like they're dealing with younger or teenagers or something like that, where they are they kind of social services, that sort of thing. But there could be arguments with the partner, there could be some discord, or the partner is very, very service oriented as well, very self-sacrificing to do the right thing for the other people. And obviously from there is aspect in the 1st house. So, this could be like arguments, discord, getting married can create some forms of debt, or the partner can be ill. And from there is aspect in Taurus. So the father could be very sort of family-oriented person, or they could be quite a loving. They quite like the social element of bringing everybody together. It gives them joy to just get together for religious events. Bring the family together, that kind of thing, and just generally love travel and being with family. Nice sort of things about, and just also really protects the 9th house of education, higher education and travel. And also from there is going to be aspect in the 4th house, which is Sagittarius. So the mother is going to be quite and they, generally speaking, they want to do the right thing. They're quite religious. They can be quite doing the right thing for their community and their homeland. Quite patriotic, which is lovely, so it's nice. Then for Libra ascendant, 7th house is going to be Saturn debilitated in Aries. So Saturn for them is obviously 4th and 5th house ruler, Yoga Karaka planet, and it's actually debilitated in Aries. So this is a little bit difficult in the sense that now a debilitated planet is aspect in the 1st house. So it just means that the person always sees the glass half full about everything. So you just like getting going is quite difficult for these people. They really got to apply themselves to get the best out of their life, because this is like happiness, rules happiness, home, and then children, enjoyment, fun of life. Everything seems quite a lot of effort for them, and they could be quite lazy in applying self. But the moment you do, it's going to be just amazing, because you're activating what would be your Yoga Karaka planet. It does create lovely Raj and Dhan yogas for you, so it's the more you put effort into it, the better. And really that is the key. To get the best out of this, you have to put effort into it. So by 3rd aspect, putting effort into your education, into your father, into your belief systems, travel, expanding your mind, things like that will be really good for you. And then also from there is aspect in the 4th house also, which is Capricorn. So it's like, so you can see that the mother could be quite high achieving, could be quite strict mom, a lot of rules, do this and do that, and you can be like quite rebellious towards that. But the more you go with it though, the better it is. And I think this is like, they could just not like the whole routine of getting up and going to work, having to wait to save money to go on holiday, all that kind of stuff. That could really sort of upset them. But the more you put into it, because all it is just like really everything becomes an effort, and they need to just be much more aware, because not only then they actually will attract these type of people as well, who feel as though, why should I work, when I can stay at home. So yeah, the more you put effort into it, the more you activate that Yoga Karaka planet and get lots of goodies, because you don't want people at work to think that you don't want to, because this is your image, public image and everything. You just like sort of putting effort into it really helps it. And then we have for Scorpio ascendant, Saturn in the 7th house will be Saturn in Taurus. And so this will be obviously It's nice in the sense that it's a friendly sign for Saturn. Saturn in Taurus is a little bit difficult because it's natural second house of the zodiac. So the whole kind of things to do with family, with values, with choices and everything else. There's a malefic sitting there. So it can stop the flow of money a little bit. So, but as anything, the more you put into it, the better it becomes. So from there, Saturn is obviously aspecting the first house, Scorpio. So you know that you're looking for somebody. Everything is going to be delayed. Basically, you're looking for somebody who's mature, but somebody who's quite family oriented as well. Then from there, it's also aspecting Cancer. And Cancer is a soft sign, so when Saturn's aspect is going to be a little bit difficult. So you know that it's almost like it becomes difficult doing the whole education thing, the whole thing's expectations from the dad. It can just make you feel quite sensitive towards that and feel like it's quite a burden. But obviously, like anything, the more you put effort into it, the more you realize it's more like a mind thing rather than actually real. And then from there, it's also aspecting the fourth house, which will be Aquarius. So its own sign, so it really protects like land, property, cars. And the mum could be quite a humanitarian person. quite you could also see that the moment it protects your home, your property, all that kind of stuff. So marriage can activate that house for you. But because also Saturn rules the third house for you, you have to put effort into everything too, and to achieve that kind of thing. And but yeah, so it's nice because the mum can be quite have really good contacts, networks, that sort of thing. Then for Sagittarius ascendant, we have Saturn in the seventh house. Will be Saturn in excuse me, in Gemini, and it's a friendly sign. It rules second and third house. When it's in the seventh house, you know that these people are quite communication is the key to get the best out of these people. They're quite like, your partner is quite chatty. It can be quite likes to be in contact with the family, immediate family and siblings all the time, and so that will be the theme for them. And that's the theme. If there's any issues with a partner, communication is the key because it's Gemini. And from there, obviously, Saturn is going to be aspecting the first house, so you know that they want somebody who is loves the truth and somebody who's got like quite strong belief system, like yourself. So you do well to be with somebody who has that sort of focus in life too. And also you both like to travel because also Saturn rules the third house. Now third house ruler is aspecting the first house, so there's a lot of travel. You could actually meet each other traveling, or meet each other because it's natural third house the zodiac, or on a dating app, or through friends, or introduction through your sibling. Now from there, Saturn is going to be aspecting the ninth house, which is Leo. So you know that the father is quite respected, has got maybe a governmental job, maybe a politician, that kind of thing, or maybe even a teacher, and but highly respected. Also from there, it's going to be aspecting the fourth house. So the mum is, it could again be somebody, the mother not so available early years of life, but a mother who's, the home environment is a little bit more creative, and the mother could be quite spiritual rather than, religious. Whereas the father can be quite religious and quite fixed. The mother is a little bit like easygoing. But yeah, so it's not a non-friendly sign, so it does pretty well. And it's also the second house ruler aspect in the first house, so it's going to be quite good for money. Then for what we have will be like Capricorn ascendant. When Saturn is in the seventh house, Saturn will be in Cancer, aspect in the first house. So that's going to be really good, really protects the first house. So you are looking for somebody who is nurturing, somebody from your homeland, and also from there is obviously it's going to be like the person is always going to worry about their relationship. There's this anxiety because Cancer and Saturn are mixed together now. Saturn is drawing out Cancer, so you have to just be aware that, to have that sort of partner, you need to just be a little bit like more sensitive, because you like somebody who's nurturing and not, a homemaker. However, if they're quite Saturnian, then you're not going to have that. So there needs to be that level of awareness going on about that too. And the third aspect is going to be on the ninth house. So the father could be a lawyer in service, governmental job, and they could be quite, good lawyers, that kind of thing. And but generally speaking, shows the intellect of yourself and your, the more you put effort into education and everything else, because these people are really practical and intellectual. So the father could be of that sort of thing as well. And they attract people who are very service oriented. And then from there is also aspect in the fourth house, which is where Saturn is actually debilitated. So it could be that, this is not very comfortable position. So the mother could be either poorly or quite, there could be some issues with the mom. I definitely say, if you ever buy a car, make sure that you always look after it, the service and everything else like that. But generally speaking, it could be that the mother is not necessarily very well, and the whole family environment can be cold and a little bit difficult, really. So you need to just put more effort into making it much more easier and better for yourself, in the sense that's something that you need to explore. And you might not have had the nurture, but in this lifetime you want to learn through that and create a home environment for yourself and for your own family that's not that way inclined. So we have all the answers, really. For Aquarius ascendant, when Saturn is in the 7th house, Saturn will be in Leo. So it's also obviously 7th house, really looking at the 1st house, so it protects the 1st house, Aquarius, but obviously not a good placement, because Saturn is an enemy sign. So there could be some issues with partner. The partner could be quite fixed, and everything is obviously this is Saturn is, you kind of might feel like the partner feels as though they are like better than you, kind of thing, but there's no such thing. Everybody's the same. So it could be that you're looking for somebody in status and everything else, and in class, because I don't believe in things like that, will be better than you, but actually they can make you feel a little bit inferior. So remember, this is all in the mind. It's not real. Everybody's the same. Doesn't matter where they come from, what family. But that's what you're looking for. And then from there, Saturn is obviously aspect in 9th house, which is Libra, and is exaltation sign for Libra. So the father could be a judge, somebody who works for businesses in commercial thing, in justice, that kind of stuff, and just education and all of that will be amazing for you. You're really going to enjoy interacting with others. Travel, you enjoy your religion, belief system, meeting cultured people. Your dad is sociable, attracts that kind of person. So the father is absolutely joy, and the more you interact with the dad, the more that makes up for everything, because this house of luck elevates you. And then from there also it's aspect in the 4th house. So that aspect will be Saturn's aspect on Taurus. So you know that the mother is somebody who is quite Venusian, quite family oriented, and all of that. And it's not going to be a mum who's always going to be. So in that sense, the parents are actually not too bad, but the spouse, because you're looking for somebody who elevates you in a sense, so you have to make sure you make the right choices. And if you get married later, you have your boundaries in place, so you're not going to put up with somebody who is going to make you feel in any way not equal to them. You have your boundaries and you go for that. So I think definitely delaying marriage will be good, but this could be a very long lasting marriage, and you both do the right thing for your community, because obviously Leo is a fixed sign. And then for Pisces ascendant, Saturn in the 7th house will be Saturn is 11th and 12th house ruler when it's Virgo. So from there is obviously 11th house ruler aspect in the 1st house, create a done yoga of wealth. However, it's also like they create wealth and they like to spend it. So you could also get married to somebody abroad, get married to somebody within your groups of friends. But the partner, this is going to be either service-oriented partner or quite a critical one too, or you could be critical of the pair of them. But nonetheless, though, they are quite service-oriented, humanitarian people, and there's going to be marriage will bring some losses for sure, because this is the natural 6th house of the zodiac, and Saturn rules the 12th house as well. So it's worthwhile just knowing that. So just taking your time and making the choices, right choices for them. From there, obviously, is aspect in the 9th house, which is Scorpio. Some secrets about that, and dad could be slightly poorly as well, because it's natural 8th house of the zodiac. And then also aspect in the 4th house, which is going to be Gemini. So that the mum is going to be chatty, friendly, that sort of person. Still a little bit, kind of cold and everything else, but has got better communications skills, and so it's but just make sure that, because it's aspect in the 4th house is property and land, don't go and get yourself into big debts with mortgages, and because it could create losses. And that's it. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.